Good day, fellas. I hope you are ready for your daily dose of skill. And what we are going to do today, I saw your feedback on the latest video, by the way. I read quite some comments. I am happy you are enjoying the video. Looks like I misplayed on some kind of tanks which you said in the comment section below. But once again, the biggest disclaimer, what I am saying right here, it is my opinion. Every single of you fellas might have different opinions, which is completely fine, and I am fine with. It's just my overall view into all this, and we are continuing our trend, if I can say so, by going with the tier 7s, tier 6, tier 5s, and feel free to leave your comment down below. What do you think about my opinion? Am I right? Am I wrong? And so on, so on. Anyways, without talking too much, let's start our journey. So starting from the light tanks as usual, there is 2 light tanks in the tier 7 category. MX-13, MX-1357, 2 versions of this vehicle. And you can say whatever you want, this tank is epic. It's one of the best light tanks in the game. At least that's what I think, and it's so much fun. And the right way to play with this tank is not to make credits. The right way to play with it is to play like this for maximum pleasure. And now I know gold noob, disgusting gold noob, fellas. A lot of people in general is forgetting what game is all about. It's about the fun. It's not like what is your performance in the game. It's not what is your win rate. It's not about that. It's about the fun and joy which you are getting yourself. And with this vehicle, for me, for my personal opinion, it's the best tank to go with full APCRs and just spit on everyone like exactly like this. Once again, it's only me. It's completely playable with APs or have couple of clips of APs rest APCR, because whenever you are going to play with a tier 9 with 140 millimeters of penetration, honestly, you can go and F yourself. It's very fun tank. I would rate it solid 10 out of 10, but I am light tank lover and so on. So it's epic tank. Next, we have the Type 62, and I have bad feelings about this tank. I read the comments after the Advent Calendar video. You know, a lot of you said, oh, I like it. Good for you. I don't really like this tank, and I would rate this tank as average, let's say like that. And in the current world of tanks, average is not epic, it's not good. Average is average. So this is my opinion about this vehicle, and I would not buy this tank for myself. But once again, it's only me, and that's what I'm presenting you. And if you think I am wrong on any of those tanks, leave your comment down below and let people know where I was wrong, or do you agree with me or disagree with me. Moving on next, the tier 7 medium tank. So what do we have? Panther M10 is very good tank. Alpha damage is kind of low, 135, but it's kind of E25 on steroids, if I can say so. It's pumped up. It's huge vehicle. It's but gun is actually accurate, and gun is very nice. So I like this vehicle. It is good. Tier 7 tank. Also, I really like T25 Echo 3. For some people who don't know what this vehicle is all about, I think you could get this vehicle only one way to get this vehicle was from the Clan Wars. If I'm not mistaken, I might be wrong, or maybe some kind of marathon. I can't remember this tank being on sale. So this is the thing. I would say it's very good vehicle too, and once again, it has 115 alpha damage, but it's so much fun. It's like mini T20, and I truly believe in that. I did not spam at full gold, and this is the average performance which I managed to get with this tank in 200 battles. And in order to mark this puppy, you need 2,500, which is humongous number. But you know, once again, I had a lot of fun while playing with this tank. Now time to speak about the Eagle. By the way, Panther M10 and this one is equally fun for me and equally good. Now speaking about the Eagle, I don't like this tank. And the main reason why I do not like this tank is very simple. This tank is slow. Eagle's supposed to fly, supposed to spread his wings and simply go with his, you know, paws, nails into the enemy and beat him. No, this tank is not this one. A lot of people thought it's going to be premium version of the T20, but in reality it's too slow. This is my opinion, and I don't really like it. Unless you have some kind of fetish for slow tanks, maybe then it is the case. And even though I got better performance performance on this vehicle than I got on the T23 Eco 3. The main thing why, I was more experienced at player when I played with this vehicle compared when I played with this tank. I got this vehicle like 4 years ago or 5 years ago, so I believe that makes sense. Anyways, this is not very good tank in my opinion. Plus on top of that, worth notice is gold ammunition is AP, so it's no bueno. Now, interesting part. Skill, what the bloody F is this? T44-122 is the tank which never ever was on sale, and it is reachable only for a couple of wargaming employees, I assume. This is a disgusting tier 7 tank, and if for some reason Wargaming would sell it in 2020, now you know what this tank is all about. I marketed this vehicle, if I'm not mistaken, I marketed this vehicle in 2019, right? And it was horrible. I was going with a full gold on this vehicle because I had a limited amount of the time and so on. And this is the average performance which I managed to get, 2.3 plus 700. But I was spamming gold non-stop and so on. And I managed to get up to 100% of the mark of excellence in 75 battles. But keep this in mind, not many people played with it, so expectation values was relatively low at the time when I was playing with it. And since we have this footage already, you will never be seen in my garage. Bye-bye. Actually, before this tank had the 390mm gun, and the gun handling is so derpy, it's crazy how derpy it is. Now, when we have this out of the way, you will never be seen. Respect is given. Bye-bye. That's it. T44-100. T44-122 gun. Now we can move on. And we have the 6 heavy tanks. Now, look. We have 3 versions of the Ruski tank. We have 2 German heavy tanks, and we have this mini Run, which is like which doesn't have any armor whatsoever, and it is moving pile of junk. Anyways, let's start with VII. In my opinion, this vehicle is playable. It's worse than a Tiger, because even though on paper and in reality you're supposed to have more armor, and definitely you do have more armor than Tiger, it's not going to hold against the tier 7s, tier 8s and tier 9s. And believe me, when the tier 9 is going to see this big boy going through the field, you are going to take one for the team and you will cry in the corner. So I don't rate this tank as a good vehicle. I don't think it's a good tank, and I don't really think it is good. So let's say like that, average or playable. Maybe even bad, I would say. But you know, every single person is different, and I am not heavy tank lover, so keep this in mind. And most important thing, fellas, what I forgot to say in the start, and if you are watching till now, you're a champion. Look, for credits, you should not buy the tier 7, tier 6, tier 5 tanks. It is just not the tanks which you need to look for. The most important thing, my lovely friends, is if you want to make credits, tier 8 is the only one way to go. But still, I have my tier 6 and I'm making a lot of credits. Congratulations, good for you. With a tier 8, you would make twice as much. In other words, you know, there is a saying in Lithuanian language, the cheap person is paying twice. If you feel like you don't want to spend that much on the game, I completely understand it. But in the same time, if you want to have, let's say like that, set up yourself for a lot of time, get yourself a tier 8 and you will make so much more than tier 6 or tier 5, or don't even look into the lower tiers in general. But once again, it's only me. And when I started playing the game, I was buying myself tier 2, tier 3, Locust, Shitter and so on, you know, remember those tier 2, tier 3 tanks? And I never ever made a fortune out of them. I just spent my 5 euros into the drain, and that was useless. So this is just for information. Anyways, VII, playable or bad? This is my honest opinion. Next, King Tiger. King Tiger, I know I'm not going in line, but there is a reason for that. King Tiger, in my opinion, is definitely better than VII, because armor on this vehicle is actually working, but there is a big fat but. Speaking about the King Tiger, my lovely friends, if you are meeting tier 9s, you don't have armor. If you are meeting tier 8s, you don't really have armor, because your weak spot is like a tiger in the head, and if people is hitting you, you are going to take one for the team, and this tank is not on sale. This is a special pretty much people which have a Twitch Prime for themselves, they could claim this tank for free with care packages and so on, so on. Anyways, it's nothing too crazy, nothing too special, but whenever you are fighting against the tier 5, tier 6 or tier 7s, you are actually decent vehicle. If you are fighting against the higher tiers, so this tank is actually... no bueno. But once again, it's only me. So I would rate King Tiger better than VK. Even though I have lower win rate on it, it doesn't mean anything. Now, VI. VI, in my opinion, is pile of Kaku. First of all, alpha damage is very, very low, turret armor is not working, and recently I played a battle with this tank and Super Hellcat when I played cooldown while using my gun depression. He effed me in the face, literally in the face, without gold. So this is no bueno, and I would rate this tank either like VK or even lower than VK because it's not good vehicle. Now the pearl of the tier 7 heavy tanks. Okay, KV-122 in my opinion is the worst tier 7 heavy tank because the whole idea behind this tank was it's supposed to be fast as a medium, and it is. And it's supposed to have a Russian 122mm gun, which it does, but the gun handling is not working. Unfortunately, the gun had some kind of flaws. Maybe it was made in the Chinese factory or something, and the gun is horrible on this vehicle. And this tank doesn't have any armor whatsoever, so this tank is pile of shit. This is my honest opinion about it, and it is... Don't waste your gold, don't waste the fortune on this vehicle, you will regret your choices. This is my opinion. And now we have two brothers from other mothers, IS-2 and IS-2M, which is pretty much the same tank, to be completely honest with you. I don't know, the differences are very, very, very minor on those vehicles, and it's not even worth to talk about. Gun is pretty much the same on both of those tanks, literally the same gun, IS-2, IS-2, and maybe there is some hidden stats or something, and I don't want to dig too deep. Both of them is good, both of them is solid 9 out of 10. If your best tank is IS, you love IS, you will love those two vehicles. Although remember, if you are buying the tank for yourself like IS-2, maybe you would get better use by getting a tier 8. It's just a thought, but those vehicles is not bad, they are actually good in my opinion. So solid 9 out of 10 for both of those tanks. Next. And we have the tank destroyers, and oh boy. First of all, let's eliminate the Super Hellcat. Super Hellcat is not a premium tank, it is a special vehicle which old school players was getting, and it's fun tank to play. Eventually I will work on the Mark of Excellence on this vehicle, plus on top of that, do you see this? This is Katita, fellas. So this tank doesn't count, right? It's not making extra credit. Same goes for a T28 concept. This vehicle is not making extra credits, it's special vehicle, but it's not the premium tank, okay? When we have this out of the way, we can keep going. By the way, Super Hellcat in my opinion is fun and it's okay tank, and the concept is very specific vehicle with which it's hard to play, especially against the higher tiers, because higher tiers are going to penetrate you without even asking your name, and lower tiers will struggle with you. So it's 50-50. You are top tier, you are a monster, you are bottom tier, you are a shitter. This is honest opinion. Now let's start with slow tanks. 8015A. 8015A is completely out of the meta in my opinion, even though you have a very good DPM, you have good armor against the lower tiers especially, but the main reason why it's out of the meta, imagine, you are getting Kempenovka, you are getting Prokurovka, you are getting whatever map where you cannot hide the Artus, you will get bombed to death and you will forget your name, and I'm not joking. In the current game, meta speed is very important, and better combination of the things you have, it's better. This tank is slow, fat, definitely penetratable frontally, and people is going to load gold whenever they are going to see you. Plus on top of that, like I said, alpha damage is not the best one. 150 alpha, it's just no bueno. So I would rate this tank as a shit. This is my honest opinion about this vehicle. Now let's go for another shitty tank. Kruppstern Waffelcock. Pretty much this vehicle is Sniper Schnitzel, and this tank have actually good gun, everything is fine with it, but it's slow. It can snipe from the back, but if we are speaking about relocating, this is very bad. Also, people is going to penetrate you with high explosives all the time, and Art is going to eliminate you from the game very quickly. So I would say this vehicle is not good tank, and I would rate this tank maybe dying a touch higher than this vehicle, but the main problem of this vehicle, it's too slow. When we have this out of the way, let's move on. Now look, there is two tanks which I probably would rate the same. Okay, let's start with overpowered tanks. E25, one of the best tanks in the game tier to tier, because it has a good combination of the things. You want to be a light tank, blah, 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 in the bush. You want to be tank destroyer, shoot from the back and simply be a ninja turtle. It is amazing, but it's hard tank to play with. It's not like you are going to get E25 and you are going to kill them all. No, you need to know the game mechanics, how to use bushes, what to do, and so on, so on. So this tank is overpowered, this tank is epic, this tank is amazing, and even though it is a tier 7, it's one of the best tanks in the game if you know what you are doing. So it's definitely a dirty vehicle which I recommend to get, even though it's tier 7. Next, Su-1244. In my opinion, this vehicle is amazing. It's not as good as E25, but new player or not experienced player would perform with Su-1244 better than with E25, and I'm not joking right here. So as wrong as it sounds, I would rate this tank pretty much close to E25 in the rating, and I think it's one of the better tier 7 vehicles. This is my honest opinion. I think it's actually very, very good and very, very strong tank. Here you go, because you have armor which is holding against the lower tiers, especially when you are using the gun depression. You have quite accurate gun, you can yell rush and you can hit shots on the move, and it's just nice tank. So this is two tanks with which I would think about, right? Next, Scorpion, the tank which a lot of people received as a reward tank in December month. There was some kind of event, whatever. Pretty much what this tank is all about. This tank is sneaky, breaky sniper schnitzel. The highlight about this vehicle, hit penetration, which is 275, which is humongous penetration for a tier 7. So if you will see the Type 4 heavy, you will burst him that hard. He will say, Scorpion, when I will see you, I will rip off your tail and I will eat it. And you are like a small mosquito going into the other bush and claiming this guy alive like this. Here you go. Anyways, I think it's very nice vehicle. I think it's 8 out of 10 or 7 out of 10 if you know how to snipe from the back and how to use the bush mechanics and you know what to do as a tank destroyer, right? If you will play aggressively, you will forget your name and you will die. Why I rate this tank better than this one, even though this doesn't have that accurate gun? The answer is very simple. This tank have mobility. Mobility of this vehicle is 45, meanwhile Wafflecock is 35. And as strong as it sounds, this tank is getting fast. It is gaining the speed way slower than a Scorpion. This is the main reason why Scorpion is better. And now, last but not least, okay, I remember the struggle when I was getting Mark of Excellence on this vehicle. It was disgusting vehicle for me to mark. Either way, the Su-12S. What is good about this tank? What is bad about this tank? DPM. DPM is one of the best DPMs in the world of tanks, and if I'm not mistaken, it is the best in the tier 7, 4000. 4000 DPM. Can you imagine? It is amazing. So I can't rate this tank low. I would give it 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. And the main reason why I'm doing this, it is the PM. You are pretty much sitting next to the red line and you are waiting till someone is going to make a mistake. Imagine situation, Prokhorovka, enemies are pushing one line. You know what you are going to do? All of them will die if you are going to have a spotter in front of you. So this is a good vehicle, but it's very... What I remember the gun handling was treating me like a kaku, let's say like that. I remember a lot of shots was missed and I was yelling Russia, I was yelling China, I was yelling whatever I wanted to yell, a lot of shots missed. But when you can use that DPM, the main thing is amazing DPM, okay-ish gun, but very terrible platform. It's slow, it's clunky, it's, you know, if you are interested in this tank, and if you are actually thinking about buying it, get yourself the Su-152 and use this gun over there. You will have literally the same vehicle and you can test it out. Do you like it or you don't like it? Speaking about the guns right there, is those tanks have the same guns or not? Yep, as you can see, the guns is literally the same. So here you go. You can have literally the same vehicle, but you don't need to pay money for it. No problem, I just saved you you 20 bucks or so. Moving on next, let's go down to the tier 6. And what do we have in the tier 6? We have one special vehicle which we can't talk about. I mean, it's typical tank, like Ruski MT-25. Maybe a bit more, maybe a bit better, I think. It's nothing game breaking, it's nothing super duper hyper turbo special. It is casual Ruski light tank tier 6. Nothing much making damaging or something. Now look, Type 64 is actually excellent. It's very good. It's one of the better tier 6 vehicles in the game. Maybe one of the best lights in general tier to tier. So it is amazing. I would rate this tank solid banana out of 10, really. Simply a solid banana out of 10 because it's good, and for beginners, beginner light players, it can be good material to learn how to play with lights, right? So keep this in mind. Moving on next. And once again, fellas, even though I'm saying the lower tiers is not worth it, there is some lower tiers which is actually okay tanks and which you can think about, because we have a lot of light tank lovers, and maybe you don't want to spend money for tier 8, tier 6 can be for you, and or if you want to learn how to play with the light tanks, here you go. Tier 6, not spending too much money, and you can practice all day, all night long. So here you go. Now the medium tanks. Okay, there is 2 medium tanks which is worth your attention. Okay, 2 medium tanks. And those medium tanks is Cromwell B and T-3485M. The main reason why those 2 tanks is good and worth your attention because they are the best. It's 50-50. Teams is splitting up into the 2 sides. One of them is going for Cromwell, another of them is going for T-3485. I think T-3485 is best, so this would be my top pick. Second pick would be Cromwell. The Cromwell, why Cromwell is not so good? Because you cannot mount the stabilizer. With stabilizer, this vehicle would be epic, but you know, this is 2 top picks. Both of them is good, and you won't make a mistake by getting them. Now, Rudy could be in the list too, because with a Rudy, fellas, you can... What is the difference between Rudy and T-3485? The main difference between those 2 tanks is the gun and armor. T-3485 have armor, Rudy doesn't. If I'm not mistaken, there is a difference in the guns. Maybe no. Maybe I am incorrect. Right, their guns looking the same. T-3485 have better DPM. Look at the rate of fire. Rate of fire in the Rudy is 10 shots per minute, and the T-3485 is 11.5. So it has better DPM. Here you go. This is the main difference. That's why T-34 is better vehicle. So Rudy cannot be rated the same. Rudy is a bit lower. Pretty much those vehicles is kind of the same. Moving on next. Let's get rid of something unusual right here. Let's get rid of this vehicle. So this tank is playable. I recently marketed it in the RU server. It is okay-ish tank, but it's nothing too super good, and so on, so on. It's auto-loaded. It has 4 shots in the magazine, 150 alpha damage, so you have 600 damage potential, but it's nothing super duper hyper turbo crazy, and Cromwell and T-3485M is just better. So in my opinion, this tank is playable in the best case scenario. Now look, there is 2 other tanks which is very, very similar. Poodle and Brad Panther. Both of them is pretty much the same vehicles. And if you would look into the size of those tanks, they're literally the same copy-paste tanks, as you can see. Everything is pretty much the same. What can I say about that? Both of them, if I'm not mistaken, have 135 alpha damage guns. Both of them is the same. It's actually copy-pasted vehicle. Creativity at its finest. One of them is French vehicle, another of them is Poodle, right, which is Polish vehicle. I do not think any of those is worth attention, because if you want to play with that kind of tank, you can get yourself whatever VK from the German Tech 3 and you can enjoy yourself. By any means, I'm not saying they are bad, I'm not saying they are the best, they are playable. So let's put them into the playable category together with this vehicle, right? Now next. Sherman, Fireflies, and so on, so on. Okay, let's get rid of those 4. Look, all of them is pretty much the same vehicles, and I'm not joking. All of them is literally the same with some kind of graphic changes. Look at this, and look at this. All of them is pretty much the same. Maybe Firefly is a bit different because it's British vehicle, right? But All of them have literally the same feelings as the vehicles itself, and I do not recommend to buy any of those. The main reason why I do not recommend to buy any of those because they are simply not worth it. Thunderbolt is slow as F. Even though on the paper you have 42 kilometers per hour, right? It's slow. This Loza Sherman is way faster, but Loza Sherman do not have armor, and I hated it with all my heart. Fury is also slow, but it's accelerating way faster than Thunderbolt, and Firefly is even slower. The thing is, it's not worth to spend money. They can be playable for some people, but I would rate them no bueno. I would rate them below average, let's say like that. And yes, they have a gun which can work and so on, but why would you buy for yourself vehicle like this when you can have the T-34-85M or Cromwell or Type 64? It's simply not worth your investment. If you are tank collectioneer or for some reason you like the Sherman or Sherman Firefly or Thunderbolt or different Russian Sherman, go for it. I mean, I'm not your mother, I'm not your father, I should not say what you're supposed to do with your money. But I think they are below average, honestly. And I think Poodle or Brad Panther is just simply better, as wrong as it sounds. The tank shapes are different. And yes, sure, we can have a discussion about the gun depression. This one have -10, and Sherman have, Fury have -10, the Firefly have -6, which is completely garbage. Avoid this vehicle. Thunderslow have -10, and Sherman have -10, but they are simply not worth it, my friends. So once again, below average. Moving on next, let's look into the Dick tank. I do not really recommend to buy this vehicle just because when people is going to see you, they are going to call you a D. Honestly. I do not think this is epic vehicle, and it's playable. 150 alpha damage, if I remember that correctly. Gun is actually very, very nice, but you will make your opponents laugh at you when they are going to see this winner over there. So I don't really think this is the tank which I could recommend, and imagine that picking this over Cromwell when you have mobility, when you have way better DPM and everything. It's just not worth buying, and I would rate this tank also with the Fireflies, with the Shermans below average, let's say like that. Moving on next, this is a bad vehicle, but still, this is a bad vehicle, and this is a last medium tank right here together with Skoda, but we will talk with the Skoda in a second. This tank is not worth getting. Skill, why not? Mobility 48 kilometers per hour. It looks nice on paper. In reality, you are moving like a plane. But not the plane which is going up. No. The plane which is going from the boxes and which is making 3 turns and then he's getting speed. That's what this vehicle is all about. It's too slow in my opinion, and even though gun handling is working, but we have the same problem. Armor is not going to last at all, and it is slow. There is way better vehicles in the game, that's what I think. So don't buy it. I think it's garbage. I think it's actually a bad tank. This is my honest opinion. And speaking about the Skoda, which is the last tier 6 medium tank, if we are talking about this tank, I can tell you that for me it was kind of playable, but and the main reason why it was playable because of the alpha damage. But you do not have any armor whatsoever. Arta is going to penetrate you. Imagine the M44 which is aiming at you. Schnai minus 500 damage or so, you know. It would be a very, very, very bad thing. So it's no bueno, let's say like that. Other than that, I mean, if you are connecting your shots, you can snipe from the red line and so on, but the shell velocity is also a slow thing, so keep this in mind. I would rate this tank average at the best, and it's just simply not worth getting when once again there is 2 or maybe even 3 epic tanks in the tier 6, which is Cromwell, which is T-34-85, and which is Rudy, when you can train 2 crews in the same time. Here you go. This is my honest opinion. Moving on next, the heavy tanks in in the tier 6. From the heavy tanks, honestly, there is no tanks which would be worth it. Object 244 have a nice DPM. I played with this vehicle recently. I don't have the marks yet, but it's not the tank which I would consider for anyone to buy, even though you are KV85 fan. It's not the vehicle which I would recommend. The best thing about this vehicle is DPM. DPM is actually very, very good, and you can side scrap with this vehicle. But if you want to make a credits, we are speaking about the credits, fellas. You are not going to have a lot of fun, and you are not going to make a lot of credits. Why to buy a vehicle? Why to spend your 20 bucks? Get yourself a good kebab instead. So in my opinion, it's playable in the best case scenario. Heavy tank number 6 together with a Tiger 131, both of them is playable, nothing bad, nothing too special. And Tonza, I know you are going to watch this video, I love you, man, but none of those tanks are very good. So they are playable in the best case scenario. It's Tiger at the tier 6 with less armor, if I can say so, and with 220 alpha damage. Yes, it could work, but it's not the vehicle with which you are going to make a fortune or with which you are going to have so much fun. This is my honest opinion. Next, TOG. Actually, this vehicle is the Space Waster. This tank is the tank which is going to make any cover 2 player erected. This is the tank which Arta is going to have so much fun when they are going to see the TOG. Honestly, this is one of the worst tanks in the game, and it became meme as a tank, you know? It's just bad. Honestly, it is just bad. And skill, how dare you to say so? The TOG mania. Yes. Cover 2 would say, yes, TOG mania. And last but not least, we have the Cover 2R. Now look, Cover 2 is iconic vehicle in the world of tanks. Cover 2 is amazing, Cover 2 is epic, Cover 2 is very good. Now, when we are looking into the future, let's think about it. If ammo changes is going to hit the live server, what will happen? The old Cover 2 might disappear, but the premium Cover 2 is going to be there. Let's get real. I think this could be the real situation. So if it's going to be the case, if it's going to hit the live server, it's going to be amazing vehicle. I'm speaking after ammunition changes. And now if you want to go in depth with a Cover 2, don't buy this vehicle, save yourself a 20 bucks. And the main reason why am I saying that, it's just simply not worth it. Why would you pay 20 bucks to make tiny touch more credits? And the amount of the credits which you are making with this tank is not significant bigger than a standard Cover 2. It's not worth investment in my opinion. I believe you can have a better value for your money, fellas. Obviously you can say, but you are getting a good camo on this tank, you are getting a good camo. Yeah, it's true, but excuse me, I love you with all my heart. Probably I said truth. You can get this camo and you can get the special marks over there, but is it worth it? In my eyes, it's not worth it. It's only consumables. It's nothing too special. So here you go. We have the tier 6s out of the way. Actually, not yet. We have 4 more tank destroyers, which we are going to talk about very, very soon. Excalibur, special vehicle, not making credits, but it's good bushwanker, it's good sniper. You can snipe from the back and you can make a fortune. But once again, you are not going to make increased credit income, so keep this in mind. Next, we have 3 tank destroyers, and in my opinion, all of them is bad. But skill, how dare you to say so? Okay, let's start from this one. Alpha damage is humongous, and it is pretty much jackpizda at the lower tier. You can schnai, you can one-shot tier 5 medium tanks, right? Which is fun, which is fine, and so on, so on. But flexibility of this vehicle, you are moving fridge. You are actually moving fridge. Art, camo is not super good on this vehicle. And so on, so on. What do I mean by saying that? Yes, it's fun to one-shot lower tier vehicles, but in the same time, whenever you are going to get spotted, people is not going to have any mercy for you, and they are going to beat you like nothing else, you know? Armor is not lasting on this vehicle, it's just simply not worth it. And once again, I know a couple of people are the big fans of the Su-100i. I'm speaking for majority of the people, at least I think so, and I don't really think it is the best vehicle in the world of tanks are which worth to spend your money on. Moving on next. This tank is mini Hellcat, if I can say so, or they try to do this as a mini Hellcat, but in reality what happened, this tank have an insanely bad gun handling, and this is the tank which I did not like it at all. So I think it is garbage. I do not really recommend people to buy it. It's not very good tank, even though if you are a Hellcat lover, with a Hellcat you will have so much more fun, and the main problem of this vehicle is gun, especially when you are relocating, you are stopping for a shot, you will aim for 3 days 3 nights, and it's not going to be fun. So here you go. And Dicker Max is ambush tank. You are obviously bushwanker, you have a very nice view range. As you can see, 500 meters with binus. Without binus we would have 459 meters, but the main thing what I want to say about this vehicle is just simply not worth it, because once again you are not going to make a fortune with a tier 6, and it's not super duper hyper turbo vehicle. And yes, you have a gun depression, but it's not the tank which I would look for, or it's not the tank which I would recommend for people to get. This is my honest opinion, and just skip this vehicle. And now last but not least we have the tier 5 vehicles. And you know what, in general speaking about the tier 5 vehicles, all of them or majority of them is bad or not worth it. There is only one exception of the tier 5 which is actually good. Actually, let's make it 3 exceptions, which we are going to talk immediately. So this tank is broken. This tank is one of the most powerful tier 5 tanks in the game, because this vehicle have armor, this vehicle can ram, this vehicle have epic gun. This is one of the best tier 5 tanks in the game, and it is matchmaking destroyer in my opinion. 45 games, 1.4 thousand average, it's a tier 5. 400 assisting damage, third mark of excellence. It's one of the most broken tanks in the game, and it's one of the most fun tanks to play with. Here you go. The second place would go to... The second place would go to the Cover 220. The main reason why I think this vehicle is good is because if you are meeting a new player, what pretty much will happen, you can destroy him, because majority of the people have in their brain to aim either for lower plate or either for this plate, and not many people know they can penetrate you in the face, because this tank is weak over there. The turret is the weak spot of this vehicle. So if you are going to meet a people which is not knowing what they are doing, oh, it's going to be good. You will have so much fun. You will set your auto aim and you will burst the shit out of them. If you are going to meet a person which know how to penetrate you, or T-67 which is sniping from the red line with APCRs, you will die and no one is going to ask your name. So keep this in mind, but this could be a good tank for a new player, for beginner. And last but not least, Lev-Hash. One of the most broken tanks in the game, and I do not recommend. I mean, it's most annoying tank to deal with, because if Lev-Hash look at you and look at you, you are pretty much doomed. And if Lev-Hash is going to click the hits, you are not going to enjoy yourself. 350 alpha damage, if I'm not mistaken. So one of the most broken vehicles, one of the biggest game damaging vehicles, and so on, so on. In general, art is quite toxic, so I'm not going to talk too deep about this. Now, speaking about all vehicles to run. Pile of Kaku. The main reason, low amount of ammunition. Everything rest would be okay. Panzer, good mobility, it's okay. Okay-ish gun. This tank is actually playable, but I do not recommend buying it. This one, I can't remember mobility of this vehicle, 40 kilometers per hour. Mobility is quite low, especially in the lower tier. I do not recommend getting it. Plus, on top of that, it looks like someone just shit on top of your head, and it's not very nice thing. So if you are playing hold down while using your minus 10 gun depression, people can still penetrate your cupola like nothing. Panzer Hydrostat. Wargaming used to sell this vehicle for 100 euros back in the day, if I'm not mistaken. Together with 30,000 gold, but they actually tried to sell many packs of the gold, because of Hydrostat was there, right? And it was like a small bonus. And in reality, it's small bonus. I played with this vehicle, I got mark of excellence on it. There is nothing special about this vehicle, nothing to talk worth talking about. It's standard tier 5, playable, that's it. Stug is playable vehicle, red line bushwanker, and it is a river tank, right? Matilda. Matilda have trollish armor, but it's slow SF. This is the main reason why would I not recommend playing with this vehicle. Plus on top of that, if you would pay attention at the penetration of the shells, it's just disgusting. 86 plus 102. It's no bueno, my lovely friends. T-34 shielded. It's disgusting vehicle because of terrible gun. A lot of people thought it's going to be better premium version of iconic tank, which is T-34, which is one of the best tier 5 tanks, but in reality it's not. It's way slower, plus it has a shitty ass gun, so I do not recommend getting this vehicle for yourself. Churchill is actually one of those playable vehicles which is going together with Kava 220. So baby Churchill, if you are a new player, Churchill can work for you because it's kind of forgiven for your mistakes. So I would add Churchill 3 into the list of okayish tanks. Okay, so let's make it 4 okayish tanks, or 4 tanks, which is tiny touch considering getting. But once again, you're not going to make a fortune, and if you want to play against the lower tiers, here you go. This could be the case for you. What is the main reason why this tank is good? The hull is very, very strong, but once again, the turret is your weak spot because it's flat as F and people can penetrate you. And if people will not penetrate you, they will load gold and then they will penetrate you. Here you go. Su-85I. It's actually a quite good tank destroyer. You can snipe from the red line. You have nice alpha damage for a tier 5 160. You have decent penetration. It is okay vehicle. Would I buy it for myself? Absolutely not. And for improvement, if I'm not mistaken, this tank have quite disgusting gun handling. Or maybe I'm mistaken with a tier 5 Sherman, which I don't have in the EU server, but it is nothing too special. M4 is just better vehicle, and this improvement is a scam. M4 is better, let's say like that. So in the best case scenario, it's playable. Ram 2, in my opinion, is kind of fine vehicle. The best thing is this gun. You have a humongous rate of fire, 75 alpha damage. It can be good because you have unlimited auto loader. It can be fun, but other than that, I do not recommend getting. T14. Playable vehicle in my opinion, but once again, people is going to penetrate you like nothing frontally, even against the tier 4s. Armor is not going to last very, very well, and it's nothing special, although mobility is not horrible if I remember correctly. 34, which compared to the Kava 220 33 and compared with the Churchill 28, but it's not super good tank. Don't waste your money on it. M10, playable vehicle, sniper, schnitzel, nothing more than that, and very, very slow, very clunkish. Next, Matilda Blade Prince, a very slow vehicle. If you would pay attention at the mobility, 22 kilometers per hour. And yes, you have some armor, but you are too slow, and in the current game meta, speed is everything. In other words, Excalibur is a bit better, and if I'm not mistaken, mobility of Excalibur is better than Matilda, 38. But once again, it is a tier 5, you are not going to make a fortune, and I don't really think you are going to have too much fun. It's playable in the best case scenario. That's it, nothing more than that. And last but not least, Chinukai. It's garbage. Fellas, we just went through the all premium tanks once again. I explained the most important things about the vehicles. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to smack this thumbs up. Kylers is going to have another probably 5 hours or 4 hours of editing, so good luck, Kylers. I love you with all my heart, fellas, and I hope you are enjoyed this one. I hope you found this thing interesting, and the most importantly, you won't spend your money on shitty ass premium tanks, which is just not worth it. Thank you so much for watching. That was your daily dose of skill, fellas. This video is going to be for next 2020, and see you in 2021 speaking about the premium tank reviews, because we will remake everything after 1 year as usual. Thank you so much for watching. That was your daily dose of skill. Skill is out. Peace. Skill kiss me.